Hello, I'm Ritchie Knox, and welcome to Virtuous Teacher. In this episode, I'll be giving you a secret thing to call your students that will force them to change, even if they don't want to. All right, before we jump into this conversation, please be sure to check out the descriptions area where you can find ways to support and connect with me. All right, but let's jump in it, and I'll start with a question. All right, the question is, what is in a name? That's the question. Does your name dictate who you are or what you become? I think the answer is yes, and I'll give you an example. What if every morning your parents said, "Good morning, dummy. Hey, dummy, can you go pick up your clothes off the floor? Hey, dummy, you ready to go to school?" Every single day. What if they called you dummy? I don't know if you would be smart. I don't think you could actually flip that and become something successful because you're hearing the same thing every day. It's repetition. It's being driven into your spirit. But what if every morning they said, "Hello, beautiful. Good morning, beautiful. Hey, beautiful, your breakfast is on the table. Hey, beautiful, you ready to go to school, beautiful? How was your day, beautiful?" I mean, is it hard pressed to think that you would think you were beautiful, even if you were not? What if they said, "Good morning, intelligent. How are you, intelligent?" Oh, wow. That is such a great work of art, intelligent. Eventually, it'll start to sink in and you would start to believe it. Because what people don't understand is your words are powerful. There was a saying back when I was younger, sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is the biggest lie I've ever heard. All right. Next to money can't buy happiness. I think it's only second to that. But the biggest lie is words don't hurt. In fact, words do a lot more than hurt. They're like extremely gravitational, extremely powerful. I would say if your body is a boat, your tongue is like that thing, that little rudder that steers the ship. And what you say steers your mindset, your spirit, your physicality, what you do and how you present yourself. I mean, that tongue, man, it controls a lot. It's the control center. Okay, that's what I always call it. And what you speak out can become something. It becomes things. It's weird. You got to really look into it because I think there's a lot to it. I'll use my own name as an example. My name is Ritchie, and every time I hear my name on a subconscious level, I hear the word rich every time. And let's not get ourselves in any trouble here. I'm not a cash cow. I'm not saying that, but I do want to point out that in my opinion, rich is not a financial status exclusively. I think rich is a mindset. This is why you can drink some coffee and say, "Wow, this coffee is rich." It doesn't mean that the coffee is full of money. It just means that it has a certain quality. So rich is not a dollar amount necessarily. It is a quality, and every time I hear that when someone calls my name, and I think that is a great part as to why I carry myself the way I do because of what I'm called. So let's talk about it. I would like to first share a story of a school that uses a certain phrase when addressing their students. And I don't recommend this because I do think that this is a little extreme, even if it is overwhelmingly positive. All right, but there's one school out there that calls all their children kings and queens. "Good morning, king. Hey, queen. You know where you're supposed to be. Please go to class." They do that. And I'm not exactly sure of how they do it. That's the best I can come up with based on what I've heard. But I do know that every sentence is followed by king or queen. Much like the military. "Sir," "yes, sir." "Sir," whatever you're going to say, "sir" at the end. King and queen. What do you think about that? Interesting, right? Well, we know this. If you're called a king or queen hundreds and hundreds of times a day or a month or a week, naturally, you don't want to act like a clown. I'll throw that out there. I think that's pretty safe to say. But I thought that was really cool. But anyway, to my stories. The one thing that I do call my students that I would say is a great practice to exhibit, and that is ma'am and sir. That's right. You as the adult will address your students, those little kids. I'm not sure what grade level you teach, and it really doesn't matter. If you're a teacher, I think this is a great practice. That is addressing your children or students as ma'am or sir. All right. "Yes, sir. Can I help you?" Yes, ma'am. The pencils are over in my second drawer. Yes, sir. If you need a quiz, please just raise your hand. Yes, ma'am. You may go to the restroom. Every sentence. Yes, ma'am, sir, ma'am, sir. And what it does is it establishes a line of respect, right? And it makes it very difficult to disrespect somebody who's showing you respect, even when they are in a position over you. And that's the secret to it. It's like he's respecting me despite the fact that he has the power to disrespect me, yet he's choosing, it's a choice, to respect me. And I have to respect that. All right, but let's dive deeper because that is not what I, want to talk about. There is another word that surpasses ma'am or sir. And here it is. I suggest and recommend that you call your students every day, hundreds of times a day, thousands of times a year, scholar. All right. I know that you heard people do it. I know that you heard it was a cool thing to do. Some of you already do it. Many of you think it sounds corny, but let me be a testament to how impactful this particular practice is. All right. Scholar. All right. I call my students scholars every day. I think today I might have used the word scholar 40 to 55 times. Okay. If that is accurate, great, but it could be more. I'll say that. And this is the way that I would use it. Sir, can you please pass this paper to the scholars in the back of the class? And if a student is in the back of the class, most likely they were moved to the back of the class because they were having behavioral issues that were in conflict to what we were doing in the front of the class. But even so, I responded, or rather referred to those students as scholars, because what it tends to do is, and this is what I've noticed, is that it creates a uncomfortableness when a student is acting otherwise. That makes sense? So this teacher is going to address me as a scholar, even though I'm acting like a crazy person. No, I'm going to call you a scholar because I'm calling you what I see. I'm calling you what I want you to be. I'm anticipating your growth. Because, as teachers, we get students in their rawest form. They haven't yet had the level of exercise in terms of their personality and their, the personal growth that they'll eventually go through. You're getting a student that is, for all intents and purposes, the most basic form of themselves. They're likely not educated just yet, again, depending on the level that you teach. But even so, you can start to plant seeds in their heart, their mind, their spirits, which suggests that you think that they're much more than what they are at that particular point. And let me tell you, it's extremely powerful, extremely impactful. All right, scholars, please clear your desks. We're about to take a test. All right, I will please make sure you put everything away. Young lady, can you please? Young lady, ma'am, sir, scholar. There you go. Young man, gentlemen. Excuse me, gentlemen. Can you all please put the cell phone away? It is time to work. Excuse me, sir. All right, I would like all scholars to put all, you see what I'm saying? This is the way that I use it. I would like all scholars to blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yes, ma'am. You may go to the restroom. Yes, sir. You may do this. You may do that, so it's all about respect. That is the secret sauce. And then you just sprinkle a little bit of scholar on top of that respect, and you have a beautiful meal. Not literally. But the point is, hearing the word scholar every day pointed at you, it's extremely impactful. And I'll tell you how I know this works is because I had a social studies teacher, and it's weird that all this time later, I remember her exclusively because she is one of the few teachers who called me scholar, or us scholars as a collective body. She's one of the few who did it every day, no matter what we behaved like. And I remember her to this day. I even remember her face and how she looked, explicitly how she looked. It's crazy. And it's because she referred to me as a scholar. And you know what? I just might be a scholar now. I just might be. Based on the seeds that she planted when I was 8, 9, 10, 11. Isn't that weird? Now I'm a scholar. I went to school. I graduated. And it's funny because at that time, I was considered to be rather stupid. Like I was one of the kids who used to get kind of joked about, like, oh, he doesn't know the answer anytime I was called for a question. And that, silly, dumb clown, class clown kind of guy goes on to graduate, get his bachelor's, get a 4.0 in a master's program, goes to school for his doctoral program. All right, so I transformed into a scholar. One of the worst things you can do is look at your students and say, you're going to be this forever. As a teacher, that's the worst thing you can do. All right, because it is your job to teach. I mean, let's not overcomplicate our job. Our job is to teach. And as such, you have to take these raw individuals and teach them how to be. I think comfort has become a greater enemy than we realize. We want our classes to come to us completely well behaved. You want everyone to be quiet when they get to you. You want them to have already learned all these skills. Except it doesn't work that way. You know what you should be doing? You should be teaching them how to do it. I literally taught a 8th grade class how to be quiet. And this is exactly how it went. Okay, so clearly I can't get out a few words without being interrupted by you, ma'am. That's right, I'm talking to you. You're the reason I'm doing this. So listen, everyone, please, I'm going to show you all how to be quiet. I know this is ridiculous to many of you, but there are a few scholars in the classroom who don't know how to do it. I do apologize to those scholars who learned this back in 3rd grade, but there are a couple scholars who have not learned it. So therefore, I cannot expect you to know how to do something that you've never been taught. So let's please take a moment. There's no reason I should be teaching you this content when you don't even know how to sit down and be quiet. So please watch. Pay attention to what I'm about to do. I'm going to teach you how to be quiet. Watch. So I grab a chair, okay? I grab a chair, I put it right there at the table, and I just sit down and do this. You see, that was how to be quiet, but I know that many of you may have been distracted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to be quiet again. Can you please pay attention? Watch carefully. Grab the chair, and this is what I do. Sit down, and I do this. You see, it's the easiest thing to do in the world, to be quiet. It's the easiest thing you can do. You know why? Because you literally do nothing. Again, I do apologize to those scholars who already knew that 5 years ago. And it was hilarious because after I do that, the entire class goes quiet. And I was able to teach because you have to teach them. All right, that's the secret. You have to teach them. You can't expect them to know certain things. I mean, you'll be surprised. Some kids have never been taught how to be quiet. You would just think that they know how to do it. They've never been taught how to follow along. They've never been taught how to do homework. Hey, here's what you do when we're taking notes. They've never been taught how to take notes. They've just been expected to do it. I had to take a kid and say, excuse me, sir, can you please take out paper? Today we'll be taking notes. He's like, me? I'm the class clown. I'm taking, everybody will be taking notes today. That includes you. All right, scholars, please follow along. The answer to number 1 is apple. This is a joke. That wasn't what my quiz was about. I said, sir, I see that you didn't write anything down. Can you please put the number 1 dot and then write the answer apple? Okay. And I waited. No, I'll put 1 dot, write apple out, please. I'll wait. And he wrote apple. I said, good job, sir. There you go. You just wrote down the answer to number 1. All right, number 2, scholars. The answer to number 2 is bacon. I see him talking to us. Excuse me, sir. I see that you didn't write down anything. I'm going to wait for you. Please write the number 2 dot and bacon. And at that particular point, he looks at me. He's like, so you're going to do this? Yes. I have to teach you how to take notes. It's readily apparent that you have no idea how to do it. And at the end of the class, he walks out. We went over 10 questions, and I saw that he followed along up until number 6. So I got him to that point. That's growth. So you got to understand something. There's a such thing called growth. It's not all about this immediate transformation. See, that's the problem. Everybody is all about microwave results. That is not how it works. It takes time. It takes weeks. It takes months. Sometimes it takes years. Okay, what you're planting now, what you're doing now may not materialize until later. All right, think about it. That's how everything works. If you plant apple seeds, is it going to just pop up apples the next day? No, it takes seasons. All right, when it comes to children, it takes 9 months for the baby to come out. I mean, everything takes growth. When you cut your hair, it doesn't come back instantly. It takes time. And that is the secret, understanding that concept. Everything takes time. So what you're doing now, you'll actually reap the benefits or the downfall of it later based on what you're planting now. This is why it's so important to realize that as individuals, we're just seeds. That's all we are. That's all we are. People are seeds. And everything we do will come back in harvest time or at harvest time. All right. Someone commits a crime. They might not get caught immediately, but watch their lives over the next 5 years. Even if they don't get caught, they'll pay for it because that's what they planted. You reap what you sow in this life. Okay. And the same goes for our children, our students. What you sow into them, what you put into them, you'll get back. You want to know why your students are still acting out, acting crazy? It's because you've treated them that way. You've treated them like they're crazy. You fed into what they want you to buy into. They came in acting like a class clown, and what did you do? You treated them like a class clown. You screamed at them, you yelled at them, you threw them out, you took them back in, you suspended them, all that. Yes, that is one way to do it. But another way to do it, and the point of this video, is to call them out of their name in the best way possible. Call them a scholar, even if it is not true yet, because those seeds you're planting will eventually start to grow fruit. All right? Eventually. Isn't it strange or ironic that most success stories start with something like this? Yes, I remember being in school and my teacher said I would never be anything. She said I would never amount to anything. And she said that I was good for nothing. And now look at me today, I'm a billionaire. Isn't it funny that happens a lot? You want to know why? Because the teacher planted seeds. Now, in this case, and quite ironically, those seeds planted by the teacher created some type of energy or stir within that individual that said, you know what, I'm going to prove that person wrong. So yes, that is one way to do it. That's just psychology. I bet you can't throw it that far. I bet you can't go a full day without using profanity. I bet you, of course, that's just reverse psychology. And perhaps that teacher didn't use it in that particular way, but that's what happened. All right. But I would say there's a better way to do that. And that is to lead with positivity, saying you're going to be a great person. I'm not sure what's going on today. I'm not sure why you're behaving this way now, but I promise you one day you're going to be the smartest kid in your class. Don't you think that will be extremely powerful and impactful for someone who's never heard that? In fact, 2 days ago, I used it. Okay. I had a student just going crazy, doing a lot of this, a lot of that. And I said, you know what? It drives me insane that you're not being exactly who I know you are, the most smartest kid in this classroom. It drives me crazy that you're actually showing a version of yourself that is not accurate. I know how intelligent you are. You can't fool me. All right. You talk too much. Your language is too smart in terms of back talk. Nobody can generate a response, even though it's negative. No one can generate a response that fast without being intelligent. So I know you're super smart. It's just really sad you're using your gifts this way. Changed everything. All right. By the end of that class, she was taking notes, asking questions. Mr. Knox, did you say this or did you say that? You see, you can't meet people where they are all the time, especially as teachers. You have to see where they are, cast the rope, and pull them where they should be because you're a teacher. All right. I hope that these tips are helpful. And I think that it's only right that at this particular point, I put the exclamation mark on this topic. You're going to watch these students, I should say, when you utilize these tips and tactics, calling them scholars and what have you, you're going to see them change before your eyes. And it's the most beautiful thing ever. All right. It's really beautiful to see that maturation process. And I'm going to give you a little warning. When you start calling them something positive, despite what they act like or where they are, do not be surprised. All right. Don't be surprised when they change. They're going to change. What you call them is what they're going to act like. All right. I know teachers who would call their kids buttheads. Hey, you're being a butthead. You know, I've heard that. And you think that's going to inspire change? Good luck. All right. You know what inspires change? Hello, scholar. Good morning, scholars. Good morning. Yeah, let it be corny. But you know what else is corny? Struggling every day at work because your kids are driving you crazy. That's corny. All right. That's more corny than calling them scholars. I assure you. And let's not, put ourselves in a box. Maybe the word isn't scholar for you. You know your student body. You know your demographic. Pick something positive. All right, something positive that can be correlated to or linked to intelligence. All right. With that being said, great talk. You know what to do. Show some love with a like, subscription, all that cool stuff. Check out the podcast. Check out the YouTube channel. Check out, everywhere. I'm everywhere. TikTok. I'm on IG. Virtuous Teacher. All right. Get at me. It's been good.